In a world of chaos, thank God we have books. I don't know about you, but I'm really leaning in to the small moments of triumph and joy. And books are one of those things for me. So for those who don't know, we just recently had the Greater St. Louis Book Fair, which is this really big event that takes place over several days in a building in Queenie Park. I don't know what they do in that building the rest of the year. Probably sports, things I don't care about. But for these couple of days, I care about it quite a bit because they have tables upon tables of books at great deals. I was planning on going on Friday after work because I'm a responsible adult now. And I lucked out because I had a friend who was taking off on the Thursday and paying to go in early, which is so clutch. It's such a thing to do, especially if you like sci-fi fantasy, because nerds don't play. That will get swooped up first. Like nobody's business. Anytime I've been at this book fair, it's all picked over. But I couldn't warrant the cost for myself. But because I knew my friend John was going, I'm like, hey, if you see anything that you think I would like, and in particular, I named 3 books, snag it for me and I'll pay you back. So wild because I am a girl who likes to plan. I'm an overthinker. So normally I would have like really overthought this process of what I would want him to look for. But I also wanted to be like reasonable and be like, he's looking for his own books. Like you can't keep a huge laundry list in your head of not only your own stuff, but like another person. So I'm like, be calm, be cool. Just say 3. Just say 3. And they were just like the first 3 that came to mind. And he got one. He got one. It was such a win. And it led me into Friday feeling already like a winner. I'm like, anything else is just like cherry on top. Like, I already feel like I scored such a big one with John snagging this one book that I'll tell you about in just a second. That I'm like, I'm good. I love this. Like, everything else is just like a treat. And especially in the last couple of years, the people who run it have gotten a little bit savvier about books. Because normally, when I first started going, everything was just $2 to $3, unless it was like brand spanking new or something. But now they're like, oh, for the ones that are like more expensive books or more niche finds, it can be from like $4 to $10. This one was still labeled at 2 because they did not know what they had. And ooh, am I so excited because I really benefited. I budgeted a little bit of money for this just because, like, it's once a year. Come on, once a year. And you're going to find things that you don't find anywhere else and for prices you're not going to find anywhere else. I ended up getting 13 books, which was very mindful, very demure of me because I could have gotten a lot more. It easily would have cost me like $200+ to get these 13 books if I had bought them new. Also, it just gives you so much more chance to take a risk on a book that you haven't heard of before if you're not spending a ton of money on it. And it makes more sense to just buy it and own it when you're looking at books like I am, where it's like, this is a translated fiction novel. This is like not a mainstream book. So you're not going to see 5 million copies at the store. And if you do, it's never going to hit clearance. So you're not going to get dirt cheap prices that you're going to at like this kind of event. So I felt pretty vindicated in my selection. I got, again, 13 books for $29. Hell yeah. And some cool books I hadn't heard of before, but now I'm excited to have in my collection and read when I get around to it. I finessed my style, my eagle eye for the search over time, so I feel pretty efficient at these things. And like I said, I was very mature. I didn't hit up every table. John got done before me, so I had kind of like a little timer in the back of my head, which kept me from going completely nuts because I end up in a frenzy. Like, I get into like nerd mode so bad that I can't function. And I even did like I pull a lot of books and then I read the first page or 2 of them and then I cull from there into my final selection. So I'm going to show you what these are. like I said, I don't know a lot about a lot of these, but I'm very excited about them. And I had to share because, that's the fun of these kind of things, right? Talking to, yeah, people about them. Okay, so I'm going to start with the one that John got for me, which I'm so thankful for. House of Leaves by Mark Z. Daniel Whiskey. I butchered that. I'm not gonna lie, I butchered that. I'm sorry. But hello, like what a find. I worked at a bookstore for 2 years. I never saw this used. It's been on my like casual radar for ages, but I just couldn't warrant the price tag of having it new. And it's kind of a bigger book, a little bit more of a challenge because it's a very experimental style book that I just never thought it was a good choice to check out from the library. And you can really only have it as a physical edition because it's doing a lot of interesting and wonky things with like formatting and writing style. And let me see if I can show you some examples. But like it'd just be impossible as an audiobook and it'd be like really janky trying to get the formatting right as an ebook. But like look at that. You have just peculiar spacing, weird formatting, like I said. Come on, like we got some sideways nonsense up in here. So how are you gonna do that as an ebook? You're not. So held to the yeah, and it is 662 pages. So oh God, I still can't believe I got this one. Very exciting. What are the chances? What are my luck that one of the three books I just happened to casually mention was at the book fair and in good condition? So, anyway, absolutely in love with this. I don't even know what it's about. I know it, and I think it's gotten such a reputation because of how experimental and out there it is. Oh, okay. So we have little blurbs on the back. So instead of learning what it's about. We just have people talking about the book. But we have Bret Easton Ellis talking about it, and you may have heard of that name because he wrote American Psycho. Thrillingly alive, sublimely creepy, distressingly scary, breathtakingly intelligent. There you go. We also got one from Gregory Maguire, who's the author of Wicked, and it actually gave him nightmares. I had to stop reading it before bedtime. Jonathan Lethem. I haven't read anything by him, but he's got quite a few books. I remember shelving him. Impossible to ignore, put down, or persuasively conclude reading. I don't know what that means. You get to the end of the book, you've concluded your reading, but I haven't read it yet, so who am I to argue? Any hoozle, huzzah. Very much excited. So this next book is actually not for me. It's going to be for my stepmom for Mother's Day. So that's why this is coming up. This video is going to come out after I've given it. So this is On Wings of Song, Poems About Birds from the Everyman's Library Pocket Poets. And I just thought this was like a perfect blend because she and my dad are birders. So they like a good bird. She takes bird pictures, stellar, and they're reading a little bit more. So I thought this was just a cute little addition. Nice for like, that 20 minutes at night kind of reading. Super low key, hardcover, small, has that little cute bookmark ribbon to keep your place. And so I thought, this was a nice touch, a good little blend of things that they're interested in doing, and hopefully there's some good poems about birds. But I haven't read it, so I don't know. But it just seemed like a cute little gift. Next, I'm going to just tell you these two together because, again, I haven't read them, but I am a haiku girly. I love me some haikus. So I'm always excited, especially on, clearance sale prices. I got two books on haiku. So I got Shorelines, Haiku, Haibun, and Tanka by Kirsty Karkow, who I haven't heard of. But on the back, we have a little blurb from Jane Hirschfield, who has her own stuff out on haiku and things like that. So I took that as a notable. It's not just a self-pub, whatever, which isn't bad, don't get me wrong. But to have someone who's like really well known as a poet and a person in the haiku space doing a blurb, put it higher up in my thinking. Silent Flowers, a new collection of Japanese haiku poems. So I've gotten quite a bit of reading in about, Basho and like the OG classics of the haikus, but I want to read more modern stuff, you know? And why not? Why not? For those who don't know, haiku, in really, really simple terms, it originated as Japanese poetry of 3 lines. And it's like, come on, that's awesome. I love that. It's like a little snapshot. Tends to have to do with nature. There tends to be what they call a leap, where they connect to not opposing things, but things you wouldn't necessarily fit together. And so you have a little like aha moment, if you will. And it's great. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's 3 lines and then you go about your life. Dude, look at this cover. Just take a look at Fat Boy. Fat Boy on a horse. I You can tell why my eye was drawn to it. It's called The Campaign by Carlos Fuentes. And the blurb says it's one of the best Latin American novels of the last 20 years, possibly destined to become a classic. A lot of buzzwords, a lot of the hipster in me, you had my attention. And it's set in the violent years of Spanish America's independence struggle. And the campaign follows the adventures of Baltazar Bustos, the son of a wealthy Argentine ranch owner, who is a passionate revolutionary, a romantic lover, and an idealistic disciple of Voltaire, Diderot, and Rousseau. It takes place in Latin America. I haven't read a ton of that. It's translated fiction from the Spanish, and it just checks off a lot of boxes. It seemed pretty nifty, and I haven't heard of this author or this book. And again, that's the joy, that's the treasure hunt of a book fair, is like, where else was I gonna see and notice Fat Boy on Horse? Come on. And my life would have been lesser if I had not encountered Fat Boy on Horse. I know this is like a famous art piece. I don't know what it is, but in my mind, it is Fat Boy on Horse. And you cannot tell me differently. American Knees by Sean Wong. So this is, I believe, Chinese American. The summary starts out with, in this thoroughly modern love story, Raymond Ding has problems. Such a simple, classic line. You won't even be Chinese after your wife's attorney gets through with you, his lawyer asserts after Darlene files for divorce. Could he lose custody of his ethnicity? That's so wild. That just drew me in right there. Come on. So Asian American literature, but just a fascinating set of circumstances and experience that I'm really excited to dive into. And never heard of this before, but just the humor on that summary had me cracking up. And so I think this might be a good one, guys. I'm excited. The Laws of Evening, stories by Mary Yukari Waters. Nifty little cover, kind of showcases things. It's a winner of a pushcart and O. Henry Prize, so hells to the yeah. If you have any bingo cards about awards, this might be a good one. It looks like this is a debut collection of short stories, and like, oh, I'm so jelly. Like, can you imagine? Just low-key, first collection published, went to major awards. Oh, the writer in me. I wish. Okay. So these stories are set in Japan, which I thought was cool. And it explores the gray areas between the long shadow of World War II and the rapid advancement of Westernization. So I think that time period's really interesting. and rich with stories. And I think it's going to be really cool to see how much ground it covers because it is a short story collection. So it can focus on different aspects versus a novel that needs to be a little bit more straightforward. So the women and children who inhabit this terrain have lost husbands and fathers to the war and ancient traditions to American pop culture. Parents are mystified by the future of forks and knives, hairspray, and hip hop. Children embrace it. So it's infused with warmth, it says. It is stories of upheaval and renewal, estrangement and reconciliation. And those words really stood out to me as well. I am not a fan of stuff where it's like all drama, all pain, train wrecky sort of stuff. Some people live for that and like props to them. But like if I read the submarine, I'm already stressed out. That is not a Kelly book. And so I do love this where it's like you are going to have conflict, friction, issues with community and relationships. But I like that it's not going to just be utterly devastating and high adrenaline. Like it might end in like a middle ground or even occasionally happy. Who knows? Was this translated? That's just the question. She lives in Los Angeles. Oh, so I don't think it's translated, but she is half Japanese and half Irish American. So I'm curious to see, reading more diverse literature, own voices, that sort of thing. What interesting angle she pulls through and perspectives that maybe don't see the light of day as often. Between the Assassinations, baller title, by the way, by Arvind Adiga. And the author was born in India. This is a novel. I think this is his second novel, shortlisted for a lot of awards. No tea, no shade. Being shortlisted is also pretty dope. And it's interesting. So it says, welcome to Kittur, India. Of its 193,432 residents, only 89 declare themselves to be without religion or caste. Fascinating. If you know anything about India, like religion and caste are big deals. And I mean, they kind of are across the globe, but it is so much more in your face and there's no attempt to hide it in India from my limited understanding. And so you see this blend of people in this town, it seems like. And it's a series of sketches of the mosaic of Indian life. And so I love this when you have kind of like a larger character study of a town or a city or a village, and you get to see that interplay of different people just trying to live their lives. And it has humor, sympathy, and unflinching candor. Yes, 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 yes. Seemed really nifty. And then. So when I was reading page 1, this also really drew my interest. It made me laugh, which I always think is a powerfully good sign. And so it's introducing you. It's very interesting how it's written because it starts off with like this italicized couple of paragraphs. It's almost like a screenplay, like setting the stage. And then we have this little couple of sentences that just cracked me up. None of the other shopkeepers near the railway station would hire a Muslim, but Ramana Shetty, who ran the Ideal store, a tea and samosa place, had told Ziauddin it was okay for him to stay, provided he promised to work hard and keep away from all hanky-panky. And then the little dust-covered creature let its bag drop to the ground. A hand went up to its heart. I'm a Muslim, sir. We don't do hanky-panky. Like, how do you not want to keep reading? That's just, oh, I'm such a sucker for goofy, quirky language or perspectives, insights, POVs. So I have a lot of hopes and expectations for that one. Shanghai Express, a 30s novel by Zhang Henshui, translated by William A. Lyle. This is modern Chinese fiction. Hello. Again, never heard of it. Like most of these. Let me actually. Yep, I haven't heard of a single one of these other than House of Leaves. So it means I wouldn't have even known to look for these in a bookstore or online. Well, what a win. It seems like this is kind of placed as interesting entertainment fiction that was enormously popular in the 1930s. And it's kind of slice of life and like social commentary on these different people who were on this train, the Shanghai Express. And like, what an interesting looking cover, too. And this is by the University of Hawaii Press, which I haven't heard of. So just a lot of check marks, you guys. And I get to be my hipster self. And oh my God, there's even a drawing. Is that the only drawing in this? Oh, yeah. So randomly, no, it's not. There's another one. I know I saw another one. Yeah. So throughout it, we have the occasional picture. Look at that. What a fun little thing. And I thought it was interesting because it didn't need to have this, but you got a little route of what the Shanghai Express train takes, which I feel like adds just some realism to it. Fun little detail. Now this one is deceiving. I don't know what what tree they use on this guy, but it's heavier than you'd imagine it would be. It's got some heft. It's gonna be an arm workout. So we have The Island of Crimea by Vasily Aksanov. No, oh God, don't come for me. This is translated from the Russian. Very exciting. Got, in this small little hall, books from all around the world. Get it? So this is from the Vintage Library of Contemporary World Literature. This author was hailed as the preeminent writer of his generation in the Soviet Union before he emigrated in 1980. Now, obviously, this book is a bit dated, but I think that it makes it even more interesting because, 1983, 84, what this Russian writer's thoughts were on Crimea and the Ukraine and Russia during this segment. And apparently it's a richly comic and keenly incisive satire on modern Soviet life and its relation to the West. So to get into the brain of this guy who lived in Russia for a good chunk of his life and where things were at, what they forecasted, what they noticed will be just, I think, a really fascinating read. Considering everything that's going on right now in the modern world with Ukraine and Russia and the conflicts associated with that and all the horribleness. And it's a satire. So I think it'll be more consumable without making me hella depressed, is the hope. Next, we have The Carnal Prayer Mat by Li Yu. And this one's kind of wild because when I was searching at the book fair, when I was looking at the book fair, my go-to is looking for foreign names. And, that's a good starting point. I was looking for other things as well, but that's one of the things I have my eye. Amongst the Nora Roberts and the 5 million Eat, Pray, Loves or what have you, I have my eyes trained for that unique and unfamiliar names and titles. So I didn't know anything about this, but apparently this one's like an OG old boy. It was first published around 1634 and recounts the adventures of a brilliant young student who, endowed with exceptional beauty and grace, devotes himself to a life of pure eroticism. That's the thing too. I got some sensual, sexy classics in this haul. Like other classics of Chinese erotic literature, the story of one man and 6 women mixes the erotic and the moral to tell a tale designed to both amuse and reform the reader. And it's a carefully plotted comedy of manners with abundant psychological detail. as well as dialogues on religion, sex, and morals. And Liu was born in 1610 in China and traveled widely with his own troupe as a dramatist. He also owned a bookshop and authored a collection of short stories. Boom. Cool. So we got a mix of the modern, we got a mix of the old, we got a mix of the funny, we got a mix of the sexy times. We have 2 more to go. Hang in with me. We're almost there, folks. We got Passion by I.U. Tarchetti, translated by Lawrence Venuti. I like it when they make it simple and just have it on the cover, who it's translated by. And apparently, now, a Broadway musical. So this is first time in English. It's set in mid-19th century Italy. Hello. Now we got Italy on the line. And it involves Gorigo. Can you see why learning languages is so hard for me? God damn. Okay. Who's an officer in the Italian army, Clara, a robust young married woman with a child, and the grotesque, vampire-like Fosca, who embodies the romantic macabre. So it's satirical, it's got some adultery, we got some flouting of social conventions, serious and ironic. And boom. It's, again, translated fiction. It's Italian. I read maybe a couple of books that are Italian or set in Italy, and I want to expand that. So, fingers crossed this is a good one. And last but not least, we have Big Guns by Steve Israel. And the blurb on the front is by Christopher Buckley, who does a lot of funny satirical books. So I thought that was a good sign. And the quote is, "The only funny thing to come out of Washington in a long, long time." This was published in 2018. So it is a touch behind, if you will. But reading the synopsis, I think you'll understand why I had to grab this one. I'm so fascinated by what they do and like the social commentary and satire they invoke in this novel. Former Long Island Congressman Steve Israel knows firsthand the cynicism and corruption at the heart of our political system. And he's used his familiarity to imagine a world in which the battle for guns in America reaches its inevitable and absurd conclusion. Compulsory gun ownership for every adult in the country. With a cast of characters that ranges from a wealthy chairman and CEO of an arms company to an on-the-make Arkansas congressman looking to make his political mark, to a celebrity actor turned presidential aspirant, Israel ignites a comedic tinderbox and brilliantly lampoons the way our political system has become subservient to special interests rather than people it is meant to represent. At turns discomforting and hilarious, Big Guns is a bracing indictment of the state of American politics. So apparently this author is a politician turned novelist. Never heard of you, but I am curious. I am excited. I am scared. But yeah, that concept of like, oh, now it's mandatory for every American to own a gun. Hooked. You got me. I'm so interested to see where this goes and how it relates now, considering, it's about 7 years earlier in our dystopian timeline, if you will. And there we have it. So those are the books. I would love to know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, if you would recommend them. Let me know if there's any of these you're going to be adding to your TBR. I obviously have because I bought them. And I'm excited to read these throughout the next couple of years. I'm just so stoked. I did so great, guys. Pat on the back, Kelly. Good job. Thanks, John, for that clutch House of Leaves grab. And like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.